Hey, what's up? John Sonmez here from simpleprogrammer.com. And I have a question about online coding tests. I know a lot of you have been asking me about this, and I did a video on whiteboards, on whiteboard programming interviews. You can check that out here. But this time I want to talk about the online version, online coding tests. These are becoming more popular for evaluating software developers today. A lot of people hate them, a lot of people love them, but I'd say more people hate them. So this question is from Joe, and he says, I'm a subscriber of your YouTube channel, and I recently purchased your 10 Steps to Learn Anything Quickly course. I wonder if I could request your thoughts on the below. So if you wonder what he's talking about, I do have a course called 10 Steps to Learn Anything Quickly, and it is basically what it says. It teaches you how to learn things quickly in 10 steps. Check it out if you're interested in learning things quickly, in getting the ability to learn how to learn, which is, I think, is the most important ability that you can have. He says here that he read this blog post, Why Hard Interviews Are Good. Now, I've been through a lot of these lately and got very demotivated a few times. So he goes on to say that there are some companies which required him to code a solution offline, which wasn't trivial, and then they had a live coding exercise and asked to code a live solution, and he got nervous and fumbled and stuff, and they told him he wasn't senior enough for the position. And then there's another group of companies that wanted him to clear tests on sites like Codility and HackerRank and similar online programming testing platforms. And then they gave really hard logic problems to be solved in a fixed time. And he says that it's something that I believe requires time to think through a few iterations before one arrives at a solution, unless you've already seen the problem. Now I've written some pretty complex code, and he goes on to say that basically, you know, he's done real code. And this is not real code that you do in production, and this is not really building an application. This is some silly test. I'm paraphrasing here, but this is kind of, I think, the attitude that a lot of you have. This is some silly tests online, and it's not even like a real environment, and you have more time in a real environment and all of this stuff. And I get that, and I totally agree. Coding tests online are not like real life. That's not, you typically don't have that kind of situation. I mean, some of you do. Maybe if you're working on like algorithmic trading software or an e-commerce solution and the website's going down and stuff and you got to code up a solution. But for the most part, you don't have that. But here's the thing. This is a quote I can't think of who said this quote. If someone knows the attribution, leave it in a comment below. But essentially, and Tim Ferriss says this a lot, he says that we don't rise to the level of our dreams or expectations. We fall to the level of our training. So think about that for a second. We fall to the level of our training. So that's why these tests are so important, is because I guarantee you, if I can put you in a room and I can have 5 people watching you code on a whiteboard or do a live coding challenge and give you a time limit for that and put pressure on you, and you fly through that and you succeed and you do awesome. Or if I give you an online coding challenge and it's a really hard one and they don't give you enough time to do the damn thing and there's a lot of pressure on you, but you get it done and you ace it, I guarantee you if you do those things that well, I can't guarantee you, but I'm going to tell you that you're going to have a higher than average chance of succeeding in a much less tense situation, right? It's about training, overtraining, training for the battle, preparing so hard. There's a really good book, actually, it's kind of funny. So, by Stephen Pressfield, and it's not the one that you think I'm going to recommend. It's called The Gates of Fire. Check out that book. I don't read a lot of fiction books, but this book is great. And in that book, he goes through the Spartan training regimen. They got this one guy, this one boy called Tripod, okay? And I forget exactly the details, but essentially you hold the shield up, right? And these other boys come and they bash you with their shield, like they're giving them a shield training. And I think he dropped the shield at one point, and like you never leave your shield down, like it's such a sin in the Spartan training. And then there's some penalty like where they crush into you and stuff, and like you're supposed to go down eventually, like you're supposed to take a beating and you're supposed to drop. But Tripod wouldn't drop, and he got beat he died, right? This is a kid that died going through this training. His own people killed him. And it's kind of like this traumatic moment for these boys in this book. And I thought about that, and I'm like, I'm torn on this, and I'm thinking, but this is the cost. This is an example of that's not practical in a real battle, right? You don't need to be able to have your own people beat the hell out of you and kill you. But if you can withstand that, if the other boys, if that's the level of training that you go through, if your level of training is well beyond what you actually need to succeed, then when you're in that high pressure situation, when you're in the actual environment, when you actually do need to perform, you can do it. It's easy. You can accomplish that, right? So that's where I could take this a few different ways, but this is where I'm going to take it today on this is I think that, like, yeah, we could complain about online programming tests, and we could say it's not realistic and whatever, and it doesn't prove anything, but the reality of the situation is that someone who can ace these, and it's not just the skill, it's the wisdom, okay? It's the common sense. Like, if you know that a company is going to give you online tests or whiteboard interviews, and I've said it, you should know this right now, you're going to have to solve algorithmic problems. I did this question on do I need to know algorithms? Yeah, you do, right? And you can check that out. But if you know that that's the environment, and you know that's how Microsoft is going to test you or Google is going to test you, and you choose not to prepare for that and not to raise your level of training, if you drop your shield, what can I say? It says something about you, right? I'm not trying to be mean, but it says something about you, does it not? Does it not say something about you? Can I not infer some of your character from your inability to prepare for something that you know you should prepare for, that you know is going to happen, and then yet you choose to complain about it? Lots of helicopters. If you ace these tests, right? If you have prepared for them, if you have trained harder than you need to train, right? If you have made sure that you are going to ace these tests, does that say something about you? And whether it says something about your programming skills or not, we can debate that all day long. And I will argue that it actually does, because I have competed at a high level in some of these algorithm. I think I did a post on Top Coder, an older post, but I did that, and that greatly improved my skills as a software developer. It really did. Okay, so we can debate that part. But I will say that as far as a character standpoint, the test, if nothing else, if they don't demonstrate your programming skills, fine. I'll even give you that, maybe, not your actual programming skills in a real work environment, but they show something about your character, because they show how you're going to work under pressure. They show whether or not you've prepared for something that you know you should have prepared for, and they show your ability to, like, take a hit. Because how do you deal with it when some of these tests you're gonna fail, because no one can do them, not in that time limit. And then what do you do? What do you say? How do you respond to that? Do you say, do you make excuses for yourself? Do you say, oh, the test was too hard, I didn't have enough time, it was unfair? Or do you try to, like, excuse your behavior? Or do you say, you know what, that was a challenge. That was kind of fun. I wish I did better. I'd like to, could I take that challenge again? Could I come back and do that again? I would love to. I need some, that showed me some stuff I could work on. That's great. I'm gonna start working on some of those problems. I think if you answer that way, you might catch the interviewer smirk a little bit, smile a little bit, as he's happy. He's found someone that he'd be proud to have on his team. So think about it that way. Don't think about it, from how hard it is and how unfair it is. This is, and I'll leave one last point here, which is, when you see something that's a challenge, when you see something that's difficult, that's awesome. You know why? Because that gives you the opportunity to differentiate yourself. The harder the challenge is, the bigger the mountain is to climb, the fewer people that are going to do it. So that gives you the ability to be the person who does it and to get the rewards. It eliminates your competition for you. If the shit is easy, it's really, really hard to stand out. But if it's hard, right? That's an opportunity. It's not a handicap. It's not something that's being done to you. It's an opportunity for you to rise above the rest. And you should appreciate any time you've got those opportunities in life. Anytime the barrier is high for entry, that's a good thing for you if you're willing to do the work. So do the work. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel here. Click the subscribe button below if you would like to get more advice and you'd like me to, I know you guys like this, you'd like me to call you lazy, kick you in the ass. I will do it. I promise you that every week I will at least kick your ass one time if you click the subscribe button. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.